right now. Here we go. Okay, welcome to the Seasoned Women podcast, the podcast that is raw, real, and uncut. No topics are off limits. Seasoned Women, we're going to make it make sense. I'm just saying. My name is Mary Dean, and I am the host for Seasoned Women and the queen of all seasons. My guest today is Sonya Brown, Midwest organizer for Journey for Justice. Welcome to Seasoned Women, Sonya.
Thank you for having me, Elder Dean.
Absolutely, absolutely. I've known you for a few years, and
Yes.
I wanted to, do a podcast with you to shine on the focus on the things that you do when it comes to Journey for Justice and who you are. I'm going to read a little of your bio right now so everybody will know who you are. And her name is Sonya K. Brown. Sonya K. Brown was born and raised in Albany, Michigan, and our
Albion.
west Albion, okay,
Albion. Yes.
Albion, okay, an hour west of Detroit, and she is a graduate of the University of Michigan, Ann Arbor campus. Sonya has one formidable son, Demarius, and one adventurous grandson, Dakari.
Dakari. Yes.
Dakari, okay. Because I've heard and I've seen Dakari on
Yes.
occasion. Sonya is a community advocate and began her service as a school board member in 2011 until the school district was annexed by Marshall Public Schools in 2016. Following annexation, she was elected to serve and represent Precinct 3 on the Albion City Council and served as Mayor Pro Tem from 2016 to 2019. She is an active member of Michigan We Choose, and they advocate for communities across the state of Michigan. Sonya currently serves as a Midwest regional organizer for Journey for Justice Alliance. There you go.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you
Yes.
so much.
I'm under Sonya, as here since we're Midwest, and Kansas Justice Advocate is under Sonya's leadership. I report to her with anything that's happening here in Kansas. So she is an awesome, awesome woman.
Thank
We're
you.
gonna get to some questions, so Sonya. Are you ready?
I am ready. I'm fired up.
Okay. Okay. How did you become involved with Journey for Justice?
Ooh, okay. So as you stated in my bio, I served on the school board here locally. And in 2016, we had just faced losing our district to annexation. And I remember sitting at my desk reading through newspaper articles of other districts who had been impacted by Betsy DeVos policies. And I came across an article from Inkster. So Inkster, Michigan is just outside of Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
And they were dissolved, like their district was dissolved. And the burden of paying the debt fell on the residents of Inkster. So I was reading this article, and one of their former school board members was currently on the council. Her name is Beatrice Richardson. And I got her name, I called Inkster City Hall and got her phone number, reached out to her, and she invited me to a meeting downtown Detroit. So I got in my car, a couple of my friends, we went up to this meeting downtown Detroit and walked in the room, and there was our national director, Brother G2 Brown, Fierce Queen out of New York, Zakia Ansari, and about 20 other people who had been impacted by school closures. So we met in Detroit, downtown Detroit. That was my introduction into Journey for Justice. And
Okay.
that was about 8 years ago.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Brother G2 he's a great leader for Journey for Justice.
He absolutely is.
Yes. Okay. Can you share um, some key goals and objectives of the Journey for Justice organization?
Sure. So J for J it started back in 2012.
Hmm.
And actually, the organization, let me explain. So Journey for Justice is an alliance of grassroots organizations across the nation.
Hmm.
And it was formed in response to the dismantling of public education. So as charter schools expanded and public ed was being gutted out, Journey for Justice was birthed in response to that, trying to save public education and create a model that would be beneficial to all children through the
Hmm.
sustainable community school model. So Journey for Justice has been primarily focused on education justice. And there are 7 pillars that I'll just quickly name off, but in the work, what's the goals have been to adopt a moratorium on school privatization, to push for at least 25,000 sustainable community schools by the year of 2025 nationwide,
Hmm.
to end zero tolerance policies in public education, to have equity mandates for public ed, and to stop the attack on Black teachers. Because we all know that no matter what district you're in and how it's racially composed, teachers that look like you and I are minimal.
Yes.
To also stop state takeovers and mayoral control and appointed school boards. J for J pushes for the voices and votes of the people in order to make up school boards. And then lastly, to eliminate the over-reliance of standardized tests in public education.
Yeah, that really needs to change. It really,
It,
because it's hindering a lot of our Black students.
yeah, they teach to the test, and then
Hmm.
they use those test scores to close our schools.
Hmm.
That's part of the playbook that they use.
Yeah. And we're going through school closings here in Wichita,
I read
elementary.
about that. I read about that.
Yeah,
So how are they
elementary.
going to decide which schools to close?
You know that I've just been to the one listening session I listened to, but I don't know what the criteria. Really, don't understand what the criteria is for
Mhm.
them to close these schools, other than them saying that lack of funding. They
Hey,
always use that lack of funding,
always, always. They
and
find funds to do what they want to do.
right. And the schools that are being closed are going to affect, minority students.
We already know.
Yeah, yeah,
We already know.
just crazy. Okay, so what are the specific challenges does the Midwest face in terms of achieving justice and equality, according to Sonya Brown?
This is a really good question. And I have two challenges that I've identified. The first challenge, Elder Dean, is that a lot of times when we do social justice work, we do it in silos.
Yes.
For example, when we were facing the battle of trying to save the public school system here in Albion,
Mm-hmm.
I knew about Inkster, but I wasn't informed. It felt like we were isolated and this was just happening to us.
Right.
And it wasn't until after we were annexed that I was able to link with Inkster and link with Saginaw, Buena Vista, and other schools across in the state, predominantly Black, that had been
Mm-hmm.
affected. So I think
Mm-hmm.
that is one challenge. We have to connect on a grassroots level across
Yeah.
communities and
Yes.
not depend on mainstream media to report out the grassroots experience.
Absolutely.
So that's one challenge.
Mm-hmm.
The second challenge, racism. honestly.
Mm,
That's the challenge. It's racism and
yeah.
actually, defining it, recognizing it, and
Mhm.
really getting the most impacted individuals to name it and understand what it is,
Right.
especially systemic racism,
Absolutely.
you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, you would think um, that it would be over, but it's not, because we have been dealing with systemic racism for over 400 years and then
Absolutely.
some, and we're still fighting for this crazy monster here in 2024.
And it's evolved.
Yes,
It doesn't look like it did in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, but it is here and it is just
yes,
as prevalent as it was back then. Yeah.
absolutely. They're gutting voting rights. They're gutting, they have gotten rid of affirmative action. They're
Yeah.
closing schools.
hmm
Our children are suffering. So, it's like they just don't care. They don't care about hungry children anymore. They don't want programs in schools. They don't want to teach history in school.
hmm
So,
It's money and power.
yeah,
Money
it's
and
just,
power.
it's so crazy. Sonya, can
Yes.
you provide, insights into successful strategies employed by equity or else movement?
Yeah. So if I could just take a moment to explain the Equity or Else campaign, Elder Dean.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, Journey for Justice, as I mentioned, we've been predominantly education justice focused.
Hmm.
And in doing the work, we realized racism affects every area of our lives.
Yes.
I had talked about working in silos. So the Equity or Else campaign was launched in an attempt to break down the silos.
Hmm.
And we've been doing that. We have engaged environmental justice warriors, economic justice, healthcare, food production and delivery. So just expanding the quality of life areas that are affected by racism and
Hmm.
joining forces with those grassroots organizations. So the Equity or Else campaign's purpose is to do that, break the silos, and to address quality of life from a holistic approach.
Okay. Have
And
you,
go ahead.
no, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go
No,
ahead.
you had asked about successful strategies, so I'll be brief in my answer. But when we first started, we hosted over 200 listening projects and town
Hmm.
halls across the nation. We
Yeah.
wanted to hear from those most impacted, so we went to the grassroots. And from those listening projects and town halls, we held a national convening in Baltimore
Hmm.
where we actually hashed out the quality of life platform. Um,
Yes.
and then from there, we took that document to DC in the fall of 2022. You were there, Elder Dean. You actually
Yes, I was.
press conference. Yes, you
Yeah.
were.
Yes, I was.
We unveiled that quality of life platform at the Capitol in front of the policymakers, federal
Hmm.
policymakers. And then from that, since that happened in the fall of 2022, we have been working with communities to adopt an Equity or Else resolution in their
Hmm.
local communities and to localize the quality of life platform to fit the needs of the community they're in. And from there, we're pushing to form grassroots equity commissions.
Okay.
And that the purpose of those commissions will be to take that resolution and push it into policy.
Yes. Uh, Representative Bowman, Congressman, I'm sorry, Bowman has joined that effort as well, right?
He has Congressman Jamal Bowman. He represents the state of New York. He has been a huge ally to Journey for
Mm.
Justice. On January 31st, actually, he introduced the Equity for All resolution to Congress, and there was a press conference in partnership with Journey for Justice. in DC in order to announce that. So he has been really instrumental in pushing this at a federal level.
Mhm.
And we're just thankful to have his allyship.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Yes.
Awesome congressperson. Okay, how does Journey for Justice, Equity, or Else movement collaborate with other organizations in the Midwest and other regions to amplify its impact?
So what we do, basically, we have a monthly National Equity or Else call.
Mhm.
It's every fourth Thursday of the month. It lasts usually around an hour. Sometimes we go a little over, but we come together and everybody has space in order to give updates on what's going on in their community.
Mhm.
Um, our part of our team, each region has a regional organizer. I am assigned to you, Elder Dean, in the Midwest. We have
Yes.
Bailey on the West Coast. We have Sharon Wright Jackson in the South.
Mhm.
And Sister Ransha, she is our national organizer, but she has taken on the Mid-Atlantic region as well. So we connect with organizations in our regions, support them in any way they need the support. And then we come together every fourth Thursday of the month to talk and give updates and to discuss the national work as far as equity or else.
Yeah, it's always great to see all the people across the country that joins that call and report out what they're doing in each one of their regions. It's really, really, really interesting and inspiring on top of all of that. It really is.
Yeah, and it's a way to break out of those silos. Like we know what's happening because we hear it from the ground. So
Yes, absolutely. What are the notable achievements or milestones that Journey for Justice EOE movement have reached across different regions?
So we just talked about one with Congressman Bowman
Mm-hmm.
introducing the resolution on a national level. Also, so Journey for Justice was instrumental in 2016 in hosting a presidential forum on education. And we're
Mm-hmm.
pushing to do the same with a presidential forum around racism, racial justice. So
Yes.
other wins have been on a federal level, increasing the funding for Title I that came from the work at the presidential forum in 2016.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that forum, and I attended that, it impacted President Biden's educational agenda.
Mm-hmm.
So he did double the funding for sustainable community schools. Um, Journey for Justice has been successful in filing Title VI complaints in Newark and surrounding areas as far as school closings. We've expanded sustainable community schools in Chicago and California, New York, Maryland, Mississippi, Camden, New Jersey, Baton Rouge, and Patterson, New Jersey. And then our Equity Arrows Power Series, which it's a monthly forum where we highlight organizations in different quality of life areas. We
Yes.
highlight the wins and
Mm-hmm.
the work that they've done. That's been really impactful. Our next one is actually, we're going to pause in March, but our
Mm-hmm.
next one will be April, and that'll be environmental justice. And then lastly, Journey for Justice does a rapid response. In
Yes.
response to like natural disasters and
Mm-hmm.
stuff. We've done
Yeah.
work in Mississippi, we've done work in Louisiana.
Mm-hmm.
Most recently, we went to Chicago. There was flooding on the west side of Chicago, and we answered there as well. So we're doing a lot of positive things, and we have some wins. We still have a lot of work to do.
Yes. And I like to mention that you and Brother G2 came to Wichita, Kansas,
We
uh,
did.
about a year or so ago to
Oh,
do a press conference. Matter of fact, it was a national press conference
it was.
that was covered. So, yeah, yeah, Journey for Justice, call them and they on their way. So,
And Elder D, I just
yeah.
want to just mention that how impactful that visit to Wichita was. I had never been to Wichita. And we were there to support you all in seeking justice for Cedric C.J. Lofton.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. It
yeah,
was very
that was,
appreciative.
yeah.
Yeah,
We
that
were, we
was,
were happy
yeah.
to be there. I mean, not for why we had to be there, but you know, I met some really nice people in
Mm-hmm.
Wichita, and just,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I talk to you all the time, but actually
Yeah,
coming
right.
to your community, it was awesome.
Yeah, I appreciate y'all coming.
Yeah.
Uh, in what ways, Sonya, do you envision the future of the Equity or Else movement evolving in the country?
So that's a really good question. The ultimate goal of the Equity or Else campaign, Elder Dean, is to put racial justice on the ballot in 2024,
Mm-hmm.
locally, statewide, and nationally. And I think I'm confident that we're on the road to doing that.
Yeah.
We have our national racial equity summit coming up in August in Chicago, and it coincides with the Democratic National Convention. So we're doing the work to move it, and I'm really hopeful. I'm confident that we're going to have discussions with policymakers nationally, locally, and
Mm,
statewide to address racism.
yeah.
They
And
need
I
to earn
think,
our votes.
yes, and I think what Journey for Justice is doing with doing a national town hall, doing the Democratic convention is a
Yes.
good thing because most of the time, grassroots organizations are not involved in national platforms.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm glad that Journey for Justice will be part of that platform because racial justice should be discussed
Absolutely.
of the all because of the systemic racism that blacks have suffered and still are suffering to this day.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you think that that platform would include or could include talk about reparations? Because people are trying to get President Biden to sign an executive order to encourage Black people to come out and vote because there's a whole lot of stuff. Even though he's done a lot of good things, him and Vice President Kamala Harris, people they don't see that. And I think Democrats should talk about that more, as they say all the time. So, what do you think about the reparations part of that discussion?
Yeah, I think reparations, we're old that. We are old reparations.
Mm-hmm.
I think it is time for, I'm just going to speak honestly here, like you said, make it make sense. The Black vote has carried the Democratic Party for years.
Come on.
For years.
Yes.
And it is time for our votes to be earned,
Mm-hmm.
for our needs to be addressed specifically.
That's right.
And to be prioritized.
That's right.
So when we talk reparations, and I think you know my position on reparations, cut the check. We definitely want the money.
Mm-hmm.
It's owed to us.
Yes.
At the same time, there has to be some policy changes. So I see reparations as a both and. Cut the check and let's work on policy changes.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Mm-hmm.
see the quality of life platform as the tool to push for those for those policy changes. Now we need Biden to sign the executive order and cut the check.
Come on. Let's go.
Yes.
How can communities in the Midwest engage with Journey for Justice to participate in advocacy and awareness efforts?
So I'm very easy to find. We have a website. We have standingforequity.org. You can go to that website. It's the last slide. Yep. You can go to that website and learn about the Equity or Else campaign. You can contact me, but here's my email address.
Mm-hmm.
It is s.brown@j4jalliance.com. I am very responsive to emails. Elder Dean has my phone number, and if somebody contacts you, Elder Dean, you can feel free to share that. We do have a vetting process, so I would need to meet with the organization first. We push Black and brown led organizations, and you must be grassroots.
Yes, grassroots is the most important thing. So if anybody would, and I guess that's basically you answered that last question. If organizations would want to join Journey for Justice, how can they? And you answered that. How they can contact you and go to the website, and that it would have all that information on there as
Yes.
well.
And I would
So
work with any organization that is interested in becoming active in either J for J or the Equity Else campaign. Yeah, so reach out to me.
yeah, and I can tell you, she's a great Midwest organizer.
Thank you.
She does keep her word when it comes to following up with you and reaching out. So I can vouch for that.
Thank
So
you.
before we end, what do you have to say to people when it comes to all the things that are impacting the issues that are impacting them on a daily basis in their lives, and what can they do? What should they do?
That's a loaded question, but it's a very good question. So my mind went to power in numbers and people power. So if there is an issue in your community, we all know as Black folk, we deal with things every day. But the first step in addressing it and being solution focused is getting organized. You have to get organized. We're not outnumbered, we're out organized. I think Malcolm X said that. So I would say find like-minded people and sit down and brainstorm. Reach out to me. But yeah, there is definitely power in numbers, and we have the people power.
Yes.
Our votes are power, our dollars are power. It's just about getting organized in order to address it. And another thing I would say is we are so resilient. Self-care is important.
Yes.
So yes. I've been emphasizing the need for people to actually take the time out you need for self-care, because racism is destructive.
Oh,
destructive.
Come on.
And, we need to talk about it, and we need to have those conversations about taking care of ourselves, being healthy, but actually coming together and organizing to do what needs to be done.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Well, thank you, Sonya Brown.
Thank you, Elder Dean,
for being my guest on Seasoned Women Podcast.
My pleasure.
Yes. You always bring the light, and you speak truth to power. And it's an honor to be under you as an organizer. So it really is. So thank you again for being my guest, and I'll see you soon.
Yes, and if I could, I love you too. I love you, Queen. I just want to tell you how proud I am of you and how much you inspire me. I remember when the Seasoned Women Podcast was a vision of yours. And now you have implemented it. And here I am sitting here with the great Elder Dean, and I am so honored and humbled. And I continue to sit at your feet and soak in all the wisdom and knowledge that you can give me. So the pleasure is mine.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Queen. I so love you.
I love you too.
Thank you again for being my guest. And
absolutely.
I will see you soon.
Yes, ma'am. Take care.
All right. Take care.